a big welcome. I'm sorry, I'm a couple of minutes late. Yeah, live streams. This is what happens. So, a big welcome to Melbourne. I am in my usual place here at Melbourne Park, bringing the live stream to you. And yeah, we've had another great day of tennis. If I'm honest, I haven't seen that much, and I guess that's one of the things. When you are coaching players, you tend to spend a lot of time at the practice courts, a lot of time preparing for the next matches that are up and coming, and we have tomorrow Gabby Dabrowski and Erin Routliffe get their doubles up and running, women's doubles up and running here at Melbourne Park as they play against Danielle Collins and Desiree Kravchuk in a humdinger of a first round. So we're all excited for that. And the Michael Venus and Nicola Mektic, who I work with, they will start on Thursday. So we'll have another day of preparation tomorrow. But anyone rejoining us that was with me the last couple of days, please send your questions in. We do have quite a few questions that have come through, and we've got someone joining us really soon who it's an amazing guest, Marcus Willis. Now, fair play to Marcus because he's joining us, but unfortunately, kind of hot off the press, his partner Cameron Norrie has actually pulled out of the doubles. So I'll be asking him all about that. But any questions you have from Marcus, please do let me know. Some of the tennis that we've seen today, Perikar, who a lot of people, and I know on the podcast we've talked about him a lot, he went down in 5 sets to Gael Monfils, who won, I believe, his 13th ATP title last week in Auckland, and big crowd favourite. But what a match that must have been. That's like highly impressive as a match. And then we've had Daniil Medvedev that's just won. That's just won in 5 sets here at Melbourne Park as well. And then on the women's side, I was watching it a little bit earlier in between practice. I knew this was going to be a good match, but Navarro and Stearns, and Navarro ended up winning that match. Big match for her to win, 5-3 down. Tough first round match against Peyton Stearns, who Tom Hill, the former coach of Maria Sakkari, is coaching. 7-5 in the third, so that is a big match. And then obviously Emma Raducanu beating, I believe, the 26th seed in Alexandrova. Not an easy match at all. So for her to get through, as British tennis fans, that's highly impressive. And that's I think where I will start, because Emma Raducanu, how far can she go, is one of the questions that we've been asked. And I think we're all a little bit obsessed with Emma Raducanu because she obviously came to our screens out of nowhere. How many years ago was that? That was 4 or 5 years ago, and we've been obsessed with her since, right? And she hasn't quite got things going, and I hope she will. I said it on commentary. I said that on commentary last year at Indian Wells, that until we see Emma Raducanu playing 6-8 months consistently, week in, week out, and building up that real resilience and being a kind of seasoned professional tennis player, I think we're gonna see the same again. We're gonna see bodies break down, and it's going to be difficult. So she has to build up to that, and I'm sure the team behind her are working very hard. Everyone likes to have an opinion when you're a superstar, so everyone seems to have strong opinions on Emma. I would have some of my own naturally because she's in front of us, right? She's in the public eye, whether she likes it or not. But without any shadow of a doubt, she can play tennis, right? She can play tennis. She can consistently seems to be able to beat these players top 30 in the world. But in order to be top 30 in the world, she's going to have to play. She's going to have to play week in, week out. That's what it takes at this level, and obviously that's not happening. That's not happening yet. So that will come. I hope so. So let's see. on that, other questions that have come in. Sorry, we're having a couple of issues. Marcus is having a couple of issues getting in. I'm trying to see the best way for me to get Marcus in. The link is not working for Marcus. Let me see. Sorry, guys. This is not what we want. But this is live stream. This is what happens. Don't forget you get to get your questions in. We've got the producer that's trying to get in touch. We've also had a question here come in. Let me see. We've had a question here. Do we see the current form of Stefanos Tsitsipas continuing? Or can he get back to his former self? Now, this is a really interesting one, because if you haven't listened to the Australian Open preview that I did with Freddie Nielsen and Calvin Betton, one of the things we did this time is we talked about players that we felt might go out early in the draw, and Tsitsipas was picked by all of us. I think that was very much felt. Tommy Paul was mentioned. People weren't sure how prepared he was going to be for the season. Obviously, he got through against Christopher O'Connell last night, 7-5 in the third. And then also Jack Draper was picked. I picked Jack, and I didn't pick Jack because I don't think Jack's good. I think Jack's amazing. I think he's incredible. But I knew that Jack hadn't played much tennis. And when you haven't played much tennis, I spoke to his coach, James Trotman, this morning. He hadn't played longer than 1 hour, 15 minutes before then. You know, that was the longest that he had played. And there he was, finding himself in 2-1 down after nearly 3 hours. You know, so highly impressive. And talking about impressive people, I'm just going to finish off that answer on Tsitsipas, because we have Marcus Willis in the house. Wilbom, welcome.
Hello, how you doing?
Very, very well. A few technical issues, huh?
Yeah, apparently so.
Sounds like my forehand. A few technical issues.
Me and you both.
So we're just talking, and I'll bring this to you in a minute, Marcus. We've been asked the question about Tsitsipas. You know, do we think this is the new norm for Tsitsipas? You know, going out early. I'm amazed that he's ranked as high as he is. It feels like he's not won much for a long time now, and I believe he's still in and around the top 10 in the world. It doesn't quite feel like he's getting things right. For whatever reason, we know that it's difficult out here. I talk about this a lot, and I'm going to then throw it to you, Marcus. Like, I think heavy tennis parents that are involved, they can, in some instances, be the reason players are good, you know, because there needs to be that driving force. But they also need to know when to step away, because they can also then maybe stop them going to the next level. I think we see it with Holger Rune a little bit. We've obviously seen it with various parents over the years. But I don't know, what do you think? Tsitsipas, it doesn't quite feel like he's that same Stefanos Tsitsipas that was close to winning those Grand Slams and that Roland Garros a few years ago.
Yeah, it's interesting. He's when he catches fire, he can beat anyone, can't he? But it's just happening. I think his base level now, he's lost a few first rounds. I watched a bit of the match yesterday. Just didn't really understand what he was trying to do, like game style wise. It looked like he was like playing super aggressive, hitting it big on the backhand. He wasn't slicing much. And he's his best when he's, you know, looking for the forehand, keeping the ball in court with his backhand. I mean, he was playing super aggressive, but quite high risk, missing a lot. Compared to, that's what I felt yesterday. And then
going for the backhand more.
Going for the backhand more. I hardly saw him slice at some point. Just hitting over everyone, quite high risk, low over the net. Which it might be a case of that's what he's decided to do. Maybe that's what he feels has stopped him winning the slams. Maybe, I don't know. But yeah, he's
working on the weaknesses though.
Yeah, exactly. Sometimes focusing on things that aren't amazing is bad. Like, I mean, I had, you know, my backhand was always stronger, and I've had coaches who, you know, overworked on the forehand and neglected what I was good at. looking back at the time, you put your trust in them, and things do improve. Like my forehand got way more solid. I got fitter, but I felt I became very okay at everything.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas
I remember Lee Childs, actually. Lee Childs at 17. Sorry, Chinky, if you're listening, mate, but your backhand was crap. But because of that, he never hit one. He just absolutely launched serves and launched forehands.
okay,
And what actually happened with him was, and I won't mention the coach, but he took him on clay for 6-8 months and said, we need to make you more solid. And he was never the same player.
it's a very British thing, isn't it?
Very much is. Yeah, it is. He
Watching
just never,
Berrettini earlier, he's clear on what he wants to do.
Completely clear.
He's never gonna look for his backhand down the middle like Benoit Paire. But Benoit Paire in his prime would run around forehands and net backhands because he was amazing. Yeah. And
absolutely.
Berrettini today just so steady, doesn't take huge risks on the backhand. His game style puts pressure on, and he's got a chip. He doesn't actually miss very much at all, but doesn't play above he plays it within his wheelhouse.
Yeah.
And Djokovic, another one, like he can do anything, but he's won so many matches not taking huge risks because he's so good at what he does. I know he's worked on his serve over the years and he's tidied things up, but you never feel like he's panicking if he's losing it. He won't, take huge risks. He'll go a set down and, keep steady.
But the next question I want to bring in before I talk about your unfortunate, I've mentioned it at the beginning of the show, but we'll get into that in a minute. Just a little blip in your road. But Nick Kyrgios, when I think of Nick Kyrgios, I sometimes think of a young Marcus Willis in Great Britain. Like someone who maybe was a bit lost. Kind of maybe hid behind humour a little bit. Maybe did it. A few of these things. Very gifted. And last night, I don't know if you watched the match, but Jacob Fermi deserves a hell of a lot of credit because I thought he was fantastic and dealt with the crowd incredibly well. But Djokovic has come out and said this might be the last time he plays singles at the Australian Open. And it feels like this happens quite a bit with Kyrgios, these kind of bold statements. You're someone, and we're going to get a little bit into yours. This is not like a full singing and dancing podcast. We're going to bring you all back on board for that in the next few weeks to hear the kind of update on your story. But what do you think? Is Kyrgios, is he just a bit lost? Does he mean it? Does he need to get a stronger perspective? Are we going to see him make a comeback down the line? How do you feel about the Nick Kyrgios story?
First of all, I reckon he's battling things that we don't know about. Yeah, I don't know what it takes for him to get up and surface and get into media and get on the court again. I don't think he finds that easy. So I've got a lot of respect for him even coming back in the first place.
Yes,
I think I can relate to him in some ways. He's emotional, so whatever pops into his head at the time, he'll be feeling, maybe 200% more than other people would. There's a huge skill in tennis of just, regardless of what happens, just staying on the road and not thinking about it too much. He thinks a lot, which is, what makes him a genius on the court. But he'll be feeling pretty low right now. He'll be feeling like, what's the point? His body will be hurting. I don't know. We don't know what's going to happen with him. I like watching him play tennis, but he didn't seem that happy out there last night. I know he was hurting and stuff, but I hope he finds a spark with whatever he does. But he puts bums on seats. People were queuing for 5 hours yesterday to watch him. I think he's fantastic for the sport, but unless he's feeling it himself, it's not enough. It's not enough. So I hope we see more of him.
Yeah.
I always watch his matches.
Always, everyone does.
Always.
He is. It can't be denied, can it? Do you know what I mean?
I do think he's good for the sport. I do think.
Absolutely.
I do think. I don't know if he looks back on certain things he's done and said and regrets them. I don't know. I don't know if he'll ever admit that if he does regret stuff. But yeah, he does put bums on seats, and the amount of people that he will inspire is amazing for the sport.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I'm leaning towards the fact that he might not play singles for much longer. I can't see him playing a full calendar of doubles. That lifestyle for him. He's a showman.
He'll get wild cards where he wants to go, though, I guess.
Yeah, he will. He will. The options that he's set for life, whatever he does, if he wants to be.
Yeah.
I just don't know. I don't know where his priorities are at. I don't know him well.
Yeah.
But yeah, I certainly think when he was out, tennis is missing something sometimes. I know that you got incredible players and these guys coming up and through, and I always enjoy watching tennis. But I grew up watching characters. I grew up watching Goran and people that made you want to watch. And now, I mean, these guys are incredible tennis players, but I don't know if it's the way of the media now as well, that people don't open up or behave a certain way. Maybe the game's got more professional, so you can't joke around anymore. I don't know.
I know, but Wilbon, the thing for me on this, and I say this a lot, like, it's the travel and circus, right? It's ATP, WTA, and everyone's in the same team. It's and without the various characters, you've obviously Federer, Nadal, Djokovic have carried the game for years. Serena Williams, that's who people are buying the tickets to come and see.
Yeah.
And the side of that is that there's entertainment elsewhere, but everyone's on the same team ultimately. And within that kind of travel and circus that's selling out tickets, Grand Slams, Masters 1000s around the world, characters like Nick Kyrgios are needed, right? You need to have people within that team to attract people to come and watch. So, and for me, to bring this to you, because we only have a few minutes, you're one of those players in terms of I've always loved to watch. Incredibly gifted, skillful, often playing with a smile on your face, often interacting with people. It's your way. We'll still never forget your run at Wimbledon. I'll never forget running down from like Arangi Park to see you like over the hedge to watch you beat Berankis, to listen to Roger Federer talk. He picked you. We were in the locker room and he said, "No, this Willis guy, I'm watching him. He'll beat Berankis. Berankis can't handle a slice." And
really?
Willis got a really good slice. Yeah, Federer actually picked you to win that match when we were watching it in the locker room. Yeah.
Okay.
To then play obviously Roger Federer on centre court, and then we didn't see you for a bit, and maybe everyone thought that was it. That's your tennis career done. And I've told you this in person a few times, and I mean it deeply. It's incredibly impressive, inspiring, many things that you've come back, you've set out, and you've made it to a big rung of the ladder, and I'm sure you've got more to give, and hopefully you'll tell us what that is, to get in the top 100 in the world, to make the main draw in your own right here in Australia. And then you've just found out a couple of hours ago your partner Cameron Norris pulled out. So
yeah.
So tell us the immediate impact of that and how that makes you feel, and then how you kind of dust yourself off and go again moving forward.
Yeah, it's tough. It's obviously I've been preparing. You start visualizing things and how you're going to play and things like that. And yeah, I've been here a while. So I finished Brisbane, got here on the Friday Brisbane. So I've been here, nearly 2 weeks preparing. So it was a risk when I enter with Cam. If they go deep or if there's something up with the body, it's a risk you take. And yeah, obviously he's not feeling great. So it's just I'm sad at the moment, if I'm honest. Because obviously I got sent home from here 17 years ago. It's my first time back, so it's sort of twice I've come here and not got on court. But this time I've done all the right things. I'm proud of myself in a way that I'm here, even though it's ironic I'm not on the court. But I've had to really, really dig deep and go so far outside of my comfort zones in so many ways that I think, regardless of playing here or not, we might have had a disaster. You don't know, but I think those skills I can take into the next year and see where I go. I never try and make too many huge plans, huge ranking goals, anything like that. It's just very much if I think too far ahead and I don't do the details, and tomorrow then I'm not going to make it, because I will probably go off the rails in some way or another, or start missing things that make me a better player now than I ever was, because I'm turning up every day.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm gutted about it. It's a tough one. But you know, I'll sign in for mixed doubles next 2 days, and you know what the tennis tour's like. I'm entered in France next week, so it's straight on the road, and you know, I'll get over it, and yeah, just
what's the reality of the financial impact of this?
Yeah, so you get half the prize money you would have got, and
okay,
and I'm not sure. I'm not sure about the travel grant and stuff like that, but yeah, so you lose. I've lost £5,000 minimum of that. I don't think Cam gets anything for the doubles. So obviously he's losing out on 10,000. I'm losing out on £5,000 minimum for the first round, and then there's per diems, and it's the money's obviously one thing. You don't make a whole lot on my ranking, but yeah, I would have played without any money here. You know, just to play Aussie Open. I'm more upset about that than the cash. Obviously, the cash is great, and it's without it, I can't play tennis. So it's a bummer, but it's not the end of the world. You know, I'm not leaving with nothing. I made it here. I didn't turn up in Nottingham and lose first round and get 300 quid. So it's all relative. I'm not thinking too much. Oh, I lost £5,000 today. I'm thinking, you know, by turning up here, I've gained some money and practiced with around the best players in the world, and maybe picked up some experience somewhere. I don't know, but yeah, right now it's quite raw. So it's a couple of hours ago. I was just about to go on the practice court, and I got the message, and then I didn't make that practice.
I don't blame you, but
still human. It's like, and part of me, I said to my friend that I've got a practice sorted. There's someone here for me to hit with. Maybe I should just go and do it. And he's like, it's all right. Like, there was someone else to go and hit, so it was okay. So yeah, I went to spend my voucher on merchandise. I got myself an Aussie Open hat. Yeah, I mean, for me, it's the other small annoying thing is I'm defending it from last year, and obviously I've had 2 weeks without tournaments. But I always think if you're good enough, if you stay injury free, if you need luck as well in the sport, right? And I got lucky at Wimbledon. Like, I played on court 1 and court 2. I've never played there before. Got in the mixed. You know, played on stadium courts, won, made quarterfinals in Wimbledon. So, you know, it's one of those unlucky weeks.
It swings and roundabouts, right? But
but they're quite severe, aren't
they? but they are, and it's like you're not going to take any comfort from this, but the thing, and I see this from the outside review, but I see this with lots of players. I think there's certain players get to certain rankings, but they're not ready to be that ranking because they don't really know why they are. They don't have their things in order, right? They don't have their foundations in place. They don't have their shit together, basically.
Yeah.
You know, and then these sort of things, I think, can knock people. You know, and it can be quite drastic. Whereas what I see from the outside, and I'm not on the inside of your team, but from the outside, it seems to me you got your shit together, and you've slowly built the last couple of years, and you've got this strong base, and you've got strong people around you, and you're doing things the right way, and you've got something to hang your hat on, right? So when these things happen, you're a little bit more bulletproof. It doesn't mean the bullet doesn't hurt a little bit.
No, yeah, exactly.
But it just means that, okay, that ricochets a bit. That one hurt, but I'm going to take that experience and I'm going to continue heading in this direction. You know, whereas when we don't have those things in order and we don't have our foundations in place, it's very easy for something like this to tip us in the complete wrong direction. So, you know, we'll all be behind you. Like I say, I'd love to get you on for a long
I've always
call.
got to be careful of that. I've always got to be careful of that reaction of sod it. So so I'm always on the phone to people that are close to me and sort of saying how I feel, even though you know, feelings don't change anything. You've still got to go and do what you do, but it's better I don't internalize all of this and my brain give me an idea.
Come and speak to us on the podcast. We can be the counselling. Control the live counselling with Marcus Willis. There's
I don't think I'll be invited back if I'll tell you everything that pops in my head.
Well, we would learn. Now, the last thing we're going to talk about, we're going to bring it back to the tournament. And, I haven't watched that much tennis. I've watched some. Who's looking, and I'm going to throw it to you first, but who's looking the strongest out of the men and women in the first round, or how much does the first round really tell us?
It's tough, isn't it? Because I feel like someone like Djokovic, I've seen him win slams a lot when he loses the first set of the first round. He lost the first set to Drapes a few years ago at Wimby when Drapes wasn't quite so highly ranked, and then don't think he lost another set the whole tournament. So I think it's quite easy to be misled into thinking, oh, they're struggling a bit, that maybe they're not on form. Just looking at tennis aside, I don't see a weakness in Sinner's game anywhere, and it will take someone a hell of a performance for anyone to beat him, really.
I agree.
That's the reality. I'd like to see a different winner because I love to see different winners all the time. Women's side, I watched a bit of Sabalenka. She looks good. Rybakina's always one that I think can do well.
Yeah.
Tech, another one, but again, it's too early. There's so many more upsets in the women's always.
There is, but I think it's becoming a bit more solid.
I'd like to see Ons Jabeur do well. She's a lovely girl, but she's dropped a bit, I think.
Yeah, she's been injured. She's been. I think actually on the women's side, on that for me, I mean, I see a lot of the women play, and even looking at the first rounds, I personally think there's only 3 players can win it.
Sabalenka,
Sabalenka, Iga, Swiatek, and Coco Gauff. I actually think Rybakina has too much going on with the whole thing with a coach, not a coach. Yeah. She's, there's a whole world going on there that I think is a lot to overcome, and she doesn't really have tennis behind her the last few months. And I think then on the men's side, I think there's 3 as well.
Sinner, Djokovic, Alcaraz.
No, I don't think Djokovic can win it.
No?
In my opinion.
Okay.
I think Sinner, Alcaraz, and Zverev. I think those are the 3. I just don't see Djokovic winning. I really don't. I think it's too much for him now. Best of 5 sets. Players he'll have to beat. I think he'll have to beat 3 of the big ones.
Yeah.
I think maybe he's seeded to play Alcaraz in the quarters, maybe. But I think it's going to take. I think it's going to take a lot, and I think Zverev will get to the final, and I think Zverev will play the winner, potentially the winner of Sinner and Alcaraz, and I think they're in the same half.
I'd like to see Zverev win. He's a class player, isn't he?
Yeah, he's going to win. I think he's covered the holes in his game that he had. He had a hole. Yeah. He had a hole with double faults on his second serve.
Yeah,
and he had a hole that he couldn't crack an egg on the forehand from mid-court.
Shaped it, right.
And I think he's put the work in. I was watching him hit the other day. He's cranking forehands now.
I saw it. I was on the next court.
Yeah, I was like, whoa, the noise.
I wanted to stop my practice.
Yeah, seriously. It was. But last question, because we promised to keep these under 30 minutes. What's your takeaways from Melbourne Australian Open? Everyone talks about how amazing it is. Give us your 1-minute insight into the Australian Open. Is it the most amazing Grand Slam as everyone says, or do people build it up and don't go with the emotion of the last couple of hours on this question?
I won't. No. It's amazing. I mean, obviously, I love Wimbledon because I'm home, but this is, I don't know. It's a bit bigger. There's everything you need. There's still stuff I'm finding now. I found the ice bath the other day in the change rooms, and there's sleep pods, and there's, and you get into a routine, you practice, you go and get your protein shake, you get your hydro tabs. It's just, I've been there I spent nearly every hour of every day there just getting stuff done, and it's so easy to do. Whereas a lot of other tournaments, you get there and you feel like you've tired by the time you leave. You're there for a few hours and it's cramped and there's nothing going on. And it's in the middle of Melbourne. The views are nice. Fans are loving it. The sun really helps me personally as well. Yeah, when the sun's out all the time, it's just life looks good.
Yeah. Well, we'll make a promise. We'll have another conversation on this podcast next year, Melbourne 2026. Marcus Willis, top man. Thank you so much for coming on. I can't say it enough. It's inspiring what you're doing, mate. It's been noticed by many, 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 many people, including myself, and we're all fully behind you, mate. So
thank you very much.
keep it rocking, and all the very best for 2025.
Awesome. Thanks, Dan.
And that's us, guys. That is Control the Controllables live stream. We'll be back in a couple of days. But until next time, I'm Dan Kiernan, and we are Control the Controllables.
Vamos.
Legend.
Thanks,
Thank you.
Dan.
Thanks, man. This is going to sound